Welcome to the Beacon Way podcast, where your hosts, Jennifer Christensen and Adrian Wilkerson, talk shop about what really works in today's digital marketing world. As the co-founders of Beacon Media and Marketing, Jennifer and Adrian have been a part of digital marketing since its early stages in the mid-2000s. Tune in as they shine light on what works and what doesn't in the ever-changing world of digital marketing for small businesses.
All right. Welcome to the Beacon Way podcast. My name's Ken Okonek, one of the partners here at Beacon. I'm so excited to be hosting this podcast today with Peter, who is the CEO of Databox. And as Peter and I were talking before we started this podcast, I got so excited for you guys to be able to listen to this man talk about data. Because as I talk to business owners every single day, I talk about how knowledge is power and the best information is what won every war of our history and in the past. And this is basically what he does, is allow businesses and creates a software, a system for them to be able to get the information they need, the best data they need to win the war of business. Because let's be honest, business is war depending on how it's going, what season you're in. And so I'm very excited to learn and get you to speak to our audience to help them with this very important element.
Yes. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. I try to avoid the war analogies, but it's a good one. You're right to use it. I look at data as just helps us describe our world. And so whether you're measuring your business, you can measure your heart rate and your steps, right? If you're into that. But that gives us truth around where we're at. And we aggregate a lot of data from companies on performance and on their performance, as well as data about how companies do certain things. And I'm a big fan of actually making that all available for free so that everybody can use it. So I won't be winning any wars with that information. But yeah, big believer in data helping arm us with smarter and make smarter decisions.
So tell us, what got you on this path? What got you on this journey to want to provide such an important resource to business owners for free and has led you to where you're able to do what you're doing now?
Yeah. The service we're talking about is hosted at benchmarks.databox.com if anyone wants to check it out.
Yes.
But on there, they can get access to performance benchmarks as well as survey data that we've collected over the years. We've run more than 1,300 surveys asking businesses how they do certain things, and all that is accessible for free. What led me to the journey and why we do it, maybe two different questions. What led me to the journey? I'm an engineer. I love data. I've been doing software as a service for 20 years. I spent 9 years at HubSpot building out a big portion of their sales and marketing function there. And so data was always key in building my businesses, building the HubSpot business. And so that I love data. And when I had the opportunity to join Databox as CEO, and recruited by the founder, I jumped at it because I just love the idea of aggregating data and helping people make decisions based off of it. So that's what led me there. Why we make all this available for free is very simple. I think that the way companies, bigger companies for the most part, hoard data and information is a challenge for the rest of us. And most small businesses don't have access to a lot of data about how other companies may be performing, what other strategies are working for other companies. Big companies can afford to get that information because they can hire consultants, they can hire market research firms, they can run their own research. Smaller businesses don't. And I'm a big believer that in leveling the playing field for small business, my heart is in helping smaller businesses. And so that is one of the drivers for us to make it free. Also, the more we make available, the more people want to participate in our research. And so it's a little bit of a trade, right? People answer surveys in order to get access to the research report. In our case, they just have to answer the survey and they get access immediately to the preliminary data. Same thing with performance benchmarks. If they're willing to share access to, say, their Google Analytics account, they can then get access to the benchmark data that will allow them to compare how they are versus companies like them. And so it's a little bit of an exchange. And so if we charged for it, we wouldn't have as big of a set of data and it would be a lot less valuable for everybody. So by making it free, we're able to recruit more people to join. And at this point, we have tens of thousands of companies that have agreed to participate in sharing their data in exchange for access to the aggregate anonymous results.
You're obviously working and engaging with people, bringing them into your platform for a certain benefit, like we were talking about for Beacon. What are some of the common questions or topics that really bring people to you guys that you lead in helping them gather info?
We integrate with 70 plus other tools out of the box. So
Wow.
all the Google products, analytics, Search Console, Sheets, ads, all the Facebook products, multiple Facebook products, all the Salesforce products. Like we integrate with lots of tools. And then there's hundreds of other tools that our customers can integrate themselves through some little more technical tools that we provide. And so we're a blank box in that we're really only as valuable as the data that you put into it. But we make it really easy. So if somebody wants to build a dashboard, for example, that includes data from Facebook ads, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, and I think they're calling it X ads or Twitter ads now.
Sure.
And you want to have all of your impression data, all of your spend data, all of your cost per click data. Maybe if you're doing a good job, you're tracking your conversion. So you want to have your conversion data. You might want if you have an offline sale and you might want to connect that to your CRM and show how many deals came as a result of each of those platforms or how many customers, how much revenue. So if you want to build that kind of dashboard, that's what we enable, for example, or report.
When you're talking to people that are inquiring in you guys and getting data and getting information, is there a certain area or direction you'd point them in? Because like you said, it's a blank box, right? So based on your experience, is there certain, hey, XYZ tends to be a really good space for you or you? Like, is there any direction?
It really depends on the software. It really depends on the software that they're using now to run their business. Most companies are using 11 plus tools just to run sales, marketing, and customer service. And that's even smaller businesses. If you think about it deep, you at the agency, you're probably using 50 plus, if not more tools. And then add to what your clients may be using, and you're talking hundreds of different tools. And so the biggest challenge most companies have is just being able to monitor that data.
Mm-hmm.
Second one is like being able to explain what's happening to internal stakeholders. And so being able to tell a story, put the data in a certain sequence, visualize in a certain way, et cetera. And so that's the first step. So it's rare that anyone ever comes to us and says, hey, where should I start? It's more of, you should start by pulling all your data together. And two things can happen. One is your team will have a better view of it. In the case of an agency, your clients would have a better view of it. All right. And then third, the software can start to do things for you, right? It can start to forecast results using historical data without any input from you. It can start to detect when, say, something spikes or dips. Say your sales call volume goes down. You might want to dig into that if someone's lacking, whatever. Or your pay-per-click cost goes up in a certain day, and you want to look and dig into that before the next day your budget gets all gone, or whatever the example. But those kind of things can be automatically monitored. And then there's even another level of letting software say, hey, this metric is correlated to this metric, meaning let's just say the number of sales qualified leads that you have is connected to the amount of deals you're going to close next month. Mm-hmm. And so you can detect, if your sales qualified leads are down, then that forecast for your deals will go down as well. And so then it allows a human to skip the math and the analysis and say, hey, this is something that's happening and we should take action on that today. So by getting all that data together, the machine learning algorithms can start to take over and help provide guidance on how business works.
So as you're talking through, this is the world I live. So this is like apples to apples. Like this is totally, I'm picking up what you're putting down. But I think that there's possibly plenty of businesses that don't have the deep understanding that you or I may have. Sure. Do you guys help them disseminate that data or lay that out and what does that process look like?
A lot of our customers are actually marketing agencies. 40% of our customers are marketing agencies. Okay. And they provide a level of consulting and assistance to their clients that we will never even try to match. You're not only looking at their data, but you're making changes to their campaigns, to their website, to their designing new campaigns based on historical data. So you're in it as an agency, you're in it and you're optimizing that at a level we would never be able to do or would want.
Makes total sense.
However, many companies come into us and say, I have no idea where to start. I have Google Analytics. I have Search Console. I'm running some ads over here. I'm using LinkedIn, Facebook to post stuff, but I don't know where to start. And so in that world, we can get them started very easily. We actually have templates that we've built for most tools. And so they can literally say, I want to measure my Facebook page. And they click one button and they log into their Facebook account through our system. and it immediately brings all their performance data back into a template. And we have that for all the tools that we integrate with. But sometimes they're like, oh, I would like to see it this way, or I don't understand what that's saying. In which case we have a team of people in customer success that are available. And we do that in two ways. We are in chat. So if a customer is using our product and has questions, they can start a chat and we'll help them right there. We have a team of 20 some people who just work in chat all day. And we do that for our free users that are just getting started with our platform, as well as paying customers. And then we also have product experts. So we have that kind of broken out into 3 different teams. We have the sales team who will work with people in trials of our product, and they'll help with setup and going deeper and giving advice on what they should be tracking and how they should be tracking it. And then we have an onboarding team. So if somebody buys our product, they have the option of going through onboarding with an expert and getting even further set up. And then we have an account management team that will help with existing customers that might need help from time to time as they bring on a new employee or take on a new project, need to track something new, and we'll help there. So yes, we have lots of people available to help and lots of help docs and all that. Most of our customers figure it out on their own. In fact, many of our customers will try our free product and buy on their own without even talking to us.
Wow. So if we're looking at Databox and you're making the debate between, do I just use the free product versus doing, hey, let's go buy the product. What are some of the main triggers that would make someone make that decision right out of the gate, or just jump into that because of most value?
Yeah. So the free product's good for either trying it out, or if you're a smaller business or a smaller team and you don't have a lot of data to track. It's expensive, relatively expensive for us to build the product, of course, and pull data from systems and store that data and make that data available. So we can't give away everything. So our free product allows them to connect up to 3 different tools and build up 3 different dashboards, and then test all our other features. So goals, alerts, not all of them, I shouldn't say all of our other features, but goals, alerts. We have a reporting tool where you can create a PDF report automatically. So they can test all those things in our free product. And so usually what happens if it's a mid-sized company or a marketing agency with at least say 10, 20 clients, they're going to come in and use the free product in order to evaluate the product, how it works, what data they can and can't pull in. And then usually from there, if they're serious about monitoring their data more closely or reporting closely or benchmarking or forecasting more, all that stuff, that's all on the paid product.
All right. That makes sense.
Or advanced benchmarking, I should say.
You've been doing this, and forgive me if I go down a rabbit hole, but I'm so jazzed right now I'm bummed that we only have 30 minutes. Given you've been there for 6 years, I can only imagine that information has changed with a couple things very drastically recently, right? So the first thing that I think of is pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Was there anything that you saw being the CEO of this company, being in this, where you're gathering all this data, you're researching, you're talking to so much people? If anything, you probably have gotten way more information than most people when it comes to things. Was there some around business that you saw that developed that were interesting to talk about to the business owners that listen into this podcast during that 2-year crazy time?
I feel like the crazy times haven't stopped. They're just new challenges. We were a Silicon Valley Bank customer, so that failed, and I thought I lost all our operating capital. There's so many things that have happened. Inflation happening. We go from people quiet quitting to actual quitting to now not enough people getting laid off. So it's been a difficult 4 years, say. We do obviously have a lot of data, and we never look at an individual customer or group of customers and say, hey, this is what's happening in the economy. It wouldn't be fair. That's not what they're using us for. But in aggregate and anonymized, we do see trends.
I ask so we can speak to the business owner as they can see trends, because I can share in aggregate, our listeners would probably value from that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's been so many trends in the last 3 years that I don't even know where to start. But some of the stuff I remember earlier from the pandemic was just the lengthening sales cycles. So we have a lot of CRM data, right? And we can see, these sales cycles are lengthening. We also saw companies try to compensate for that by doing a whole lot more email marketing. And we also saw the email marketing effectiveness wane. So I think what happened during the pandemic, everybody was freaking out. Nobody was spending any money. Everybody, I think, even before the stimulus checks in the US, at least, people were cutting back on costs aggressively. They didn't know what was going to happen. And then that was a short time. But what seemed to happen is companies got money either from the government, but they still didn't spend it. They invested it more internally. as opposed to externally because everyone was still cautious. And then inflation started kicking in, and I think people even got more thoughtful about what they were spending. And so over that time period, what we've seen is that sales and marketing performance is pretty consistent in terms of the volume of things that are happening, but the length it takes for companies to buy has lengthened.
Really? About what, obviously, size of contract, length of term, like there's so many things that play into that. But what would you say is?
I wouldn't be able to do this from memory. We have the data. I can maybe
Yeah,
share
no
some
worries.
with you afterwards, but we have access to aggregate data from HubSpot CRM and Salesforce CRM, and we saw the sales cycle lengthen quite considerably.
Okay.
And a benchmark, and this is like from thousands of companies. Don't quote me on this. Don't anyone quote me on this.
No,
But
don't.
from 30 days to 45 days at a
Yeah.
meeting. So like in a group of 1,000 companies. So
Right.
not massive, but considerable. And I think difficult, right? That adds more work for the sales team, as
Yeah.
work for
Implications to
marketing.
cash flow, all
Yeah,
those things.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing that we saw is SEO in certain markets getting way more crowded.
Yeah.
A lot of companies said, all right, we got to cut back on ad spend because we don't want it. We're not investing for the future. People, sales cycles are lengthening and we're just not sure we can even track that ROI, let alone make it work. And so they're like, let's put money into SEO. I don't know if you guys saw this at Beacon or not. And I think that worked for some markets, but for the competitive markets, it's been pretty flat, and actually seen, especially over the last 6 months, as Google has started answering more questions directly in the search engine results, and people started using generative AI to do research and searching, that we've actually seen the Google's click-through rate drop significantly. So people are searching the same amount of volume, actually goes up. People, like since the dawn of Google, people have done more searches in Google
Than ever.
that search volume keeps going up. Companies are getting similar amount of impressions, but they're getting fewer clicks.
Right.
And so people are finding the answer to their questions on Google or in ChatGPT. And I think this is also happening on social, right? People aren't leaving social. LinkedIn does not want you to link out to them. They don't reward that. They want you to write stuff that people can respond to right on the platform. Instagram makes it almost impossible for you to get someone to click off of the platform. All of these big companies are keeping people longer on their properties, and that's making SEO and social harder. And so we're seeing that in our data. We saw that in our data. We're actually doing a study with Rand Fishkin from Moz and his new company, Sparktura. We're doing some research there together where we're actually looking at 50 different companies and looking at to see, is Google and actually not sharing data that they didn't tell us they're not sharing. There's definitely data that all these companies are not sharing with us, but Google offers a product that allows you to track your website. It offers a product that allows you to see what you rank for. But the theory is that though they're actually not sharing all that data, which makes SEO even harder. It's just getting harder. And so what we're seeing work on the flip side is companies creating content for other platforms. So a little less obsession over content on just on your website, and a lot less obsession over just trying to get people to click to that content, but more creating content that's native for the platform. So you're creating videos that live on YouTube and stand alone. You're creating posts on LinkedIn that don't require somebody to click. I'm not saying don't tell them to click over to read more, but that they can get the point by reading without leaving LinkedIn. So that's what we're seeing rise. I think that's in concert with the rise of the creator economy. Creators have been a thing for consumer stuff, right? There's famous models or whatever, shilling, clothing and makeup. Now that's actually happening quite a bit more in B2B, where these B2B influencers out there that have an expertise and they're publishing and they have a community and they have a newsletter. And this is becoming the newer way to market that's more effective.
Yeah, no, that was so good.
Was that enough trends for you?
Oh man, that was amazing. Yeah, no, I think there's a lot to learn in that for people that are listening that run business on both sides. They're, what to expect for and plan for and forecast for as it's real. And that we experienced that too. We talk to business owners, B2B all the time, and definitely the sales cycle extended based on people's decision-making factors, which is just a reality of it. And you need to be prepared for it. But then also understanding like what used to work versus what works now is completely different, and making sure that you're being contextual. What provides the most now? like you said, just unique pieces of thoughtful content that don't require you to go to the website, buys people in almost more than anything else. It's almost like this, oh, I like this, so I'm going to go check them out. It provides a much more loyal customer.
I'm pretty sure that's why we're talking. I think your other partner, thank you, Jennifer Christensen. She is following me on LinkedIn. And I think I'm pretty sure she reached out to me and said, hey, love what you're writing about. Could you come on the podcast? So that's, I think, the reason we're talking is because I post regularly on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Asking her to go to my website and become a customer, that's not a great way to connect, but learning from each other is a better way to connect. And I think that's what we need to realize is marketing is education and engagement. Like people want to learn from other people. And so social media provides that.
Exactly.
And you have to be a person. You can't be a corporate marketing speak drone.
100%. And on LinkedIn too, I do spend a good amount of time on LinkedIn and have found success there being a sales guy myself. And it's amazing how much just being a human on LinkedIn versus the bots and the spams and the copy and paste, it just goes so long. If someone like literally physically wrote a message to you on LinkedIn versus what was in a triggered automation that just literally is sending hundreds a day. Even though LinkedIn says that they're fighting against the bots, I don't care. Someone that sent 200 messages in a day and you were one of those 200 versus, hey, this person I think probably sent 3 messages today and I can tell. You just gravitate to that. It's just so easy to tell. Same thing in email too, like an email automated versus someone that you could tell, hey, that's just like a written email. I'm going to read that. It just stands out in such a weird way that people need to know is valuable still.
Yeah. LinkedIn still makes a lot of money from letting people spam. They charge people for access to LinkedIn Navigator, which gives those people the ability to send messages to people they actually aren't connected with.
Right.
And so I think until they stop doing that, there's always going to be that happening on LinkedIn, but it happens on every social platform.
Right.
So I don't think it's that unique. But the other side of LinkedIn of publishing content, engaging with people publicly through comments, responding to their thoughts through commenting, like that side of LinkedIn is the best networking event ever built. It's like you can literally connect. You just have to take a minute, read what they wrote and respond thoughtfully, or take a minute, do some research on them and show some interest in what they're doing. That's really all it takes.
I totally agree. Yeah. Literally Peter's like dropping LinkedIn bombs here and there. So for everyone, like it's 100% true. Schedule it every day. I don't care. 15 minutes and be thoughtful in it. Literally will change your life. Totally agree. So you said something else that I want to make sure that we ask, because again, you are the one that's spending this time helping people gather data. What has been some of the trends? What are things that you're noticing around AI? Obviously that has been a game changer.
Yeah.
Or perception has made it seem as it is a game changer.
Right.
What are some of the realities that you're finding out, as I can only imagine that you guys and other people are coming to you to gather data around this space?
Yeah, we actually have one survey going on now about generative AI, and then 2 that we're in the planning stages with other organizations.
Please explain the difference between generative AI so people can understand that, because I don't know if everyone understands that exact phrase, and I want to make sure that they understand what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Generative AI basically just think of it as like a massive data store of written text. And it's truly the internet. Like this software program has read the internet. And because it's read the internet, it understands patterns and words to be able to figure out how to put them together. Both grammatically correct, to some degree, factually based, but not always. And that's a big problem. And so then you can go to it like you would chat over text or with any kind of chat bot and ask it questions, and it will give you full form answers. And then you could say, oh, change the answer this way, or clarify this for me, like you're having a conversation with a human. It is not a human. They may return things that are factually incorrect, but it's great for querying information and getting a starting point for something. So my sister used it the other day. We're planning a trip. I hope this comes out after the trip because it's a surprise for my dad, but we're planning a trip, and she asked ChatGPT, which is a generative AI tool, to give us things we can do in the town that we're going to. And it came back with a whole itinerary, and you can ask it, oh, I don't want these kind of events. Please take that off. I'm more interested in this kind of event and add that to it. And so instead of querying Google for that list of things that you might do or articles that list those things or ending up at Yelp, it will actually give you a suggestion on things that you could do even by day. And it's consulting the web. So some of that data could be an event that's going on, or it could just be a popular activity in that area.
Right.
Writers or marketers are also using it for outlines, for drafts, to fix grammar, to reword things. So you can use the generative AI to help you as a writing assistant. If someone says to you, I use ChatGPT or I use Jasper or any of these tools out there to create content, that's run away from them. They shouldn't be using that. Like it shouldn't be I used it and here's the finished copy. Because one, again, it might not be factually correct. And two, it's derivative from the internet. So it has no soul at all. But you can use it for drafting, proofing, rewording, things like that.
It's a bicycle for the mind is the way I would describe it. It's like Steve Jobs talks about with the iPhone. ChatGPT or any generative AI will just expand your ability and capacity for thought, which will get you to a much better place, period.
Yeah. And Google has a product. Most people probably never heard of Jasper or Google or ChatGPT. Everybody knows Google. So Google has Google Bard. And then Microsoft has a Bing version.
Yeah. And our encouragement always is just understand them, play with them, don't avoid them. So what are some of the things that have come out? You said you had one going out right now.
So we have a survey on how marketers are using generative AI. I think we got about 200 people to respond so far. It's clear that most are using ChatGPT. There's a paid version of that as well, a free version to paid version. Some are using Jasper. There's 5 tools that were common. Google was...
The script probably is another one up there.
Yep. Like writer.com and WriteSonic. Anyways, there's a list of them. You can find a list pretty easily. What most are using it for is the early stages of their content creation.
Mm-hmm.
So they're using it. They're saying, hey, give me a list. If I was going to write an article about generative AI, I could go to ChatGPT or any of these tools and say, give me a list of the most popular generative AI tools. And it would give that list. And so it's set, and you can cut and paste that and put it into a Google Doc and start your article, right? So that's one way people are using it. Another one is to write a fully formed first draft, but you got to prompt it with a much more complicated request. You might even have to feed it examples of the kind of content that you've written before, et cetera. So it gets a little more complicated to use it that way. But there are marketers doing that. Very few are using it for like finished articles. Like we said, you should. So that's one big takeaway from the survey. But generative AI is actually just like one AI technique or application. It's a popular one because the ChatGPT or OpenAI, the organization behind ChatGPT, decided to make it free, and everybody tried it, and it is useful to a certain degree. So it spread like crazy. But there are it's based off of what's called large language learning models, and so it's using all of the content that it can to write original content or derivative original content. But there are all kinds of learning models, other machine learning models as well. And so when you're talking about company performance data, I actually think it's a whole lot more exciting, although it gets a whole lot less buzz. But being able to do things like forecast your performance on a specific metric, being able to identify when your ad spend is out of whack from where it was historically, being able to say that if you do this, it will produce this. And some of those would be intuitive. If you make more sales calls, you will get more you will get more customers. But there are other things that might be less intuitive to other companies. Or if you get more traffic to this website page on your website, like that's going to result in more companies inquiring as a lead or more potential customers inquiring as a lead. So there's these things that a human might not think to look for that machine learning models can detect. And so that's where our focus is, right? We're not trying to sit here and help people write content. We're much more helping them interpret the performance of their company and help them improve that performance.
Because if you have the best information on your business, you will be able to make the most thoughtful decisions on the future or quickly learn from the mistakes of the past, because those are definitely pitfalls in business ownership or leadership. Absolutely. What would you suggest if someone's listening to this today and they are going to go to Databox? What's the next steps, what they should do? Where should they engage? How should they be reaching out to you all to get started on this journey if this is a profound perspective for them that they're hearing today?
Yeah. So most business owners, marketing leaders, et cetera, love to ask the question, how does our performance compare to other companies? right? Especially if you're the business owner and you're asking the marketing leader, like that business owner is constantly asking. I'm sure you guys get that question at Beacon as well all the time. And so go to benchmarks.databox.com and sign up for free, connect any of your tools for free, and instantly see how you perform. So the next time your boss or you ask yourself that question of how do our performance compare to companies like ours, you can answer it. So that's our gift to the world. By participating, obviously, you're making that data set more valuable for everybody. So similar to Wikipedia or something like that, we're trying to create a resource that people find valuable. The next thing is on that site, you'll see opportunities to answer surveys. And we have questions about how our company is using generative AI. What marketing channels are working best for you right now? What software are you using to run your business? And very specific types of software. What marketing software? What sales software? So we ask all these questions. And as soon as someone says, hey, that's interesting to me, and they answer that question, they can see how other companies are answering that question. So again, trying to help people not just answer the question, how are we performing compared to others, but also what are we not doing that others are doing, especially what are other successful companies doing that we're not doing. And so that's what we're trying to help with that tool. If that's valuable to them and then they want to take action on it and they want to have an aggregate view of our data, of their data across their company and better monitor, better report, et cetera, that's where our paid product comes in.
Love it. Love it. Peter, is there anything else that should be shared around Databox, around the world that you live in that would be valuable today?
No, I think we covered it. I'm looking forward to future collaboration with Beacon. I think I love the focus that you have in the fact that you are focused on helping specific types of companies versus most marketing agencies who are trying to help everybody. I think that's a real, and I'm sure you live it every day and your clients live it every day, but I know from my experience of working with other agencies that the more focused you are, the better. And I love that you're helping with mental health. That's really important. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Yeah. The phrases I use often is there's the riches and the niches. So getting even our businesses to focus on a more specific focus is such an important, simple thing to understand, but very difficult to do in reality for most businesses because of the fear of that. But then also too is understanding that the more you try to appease everyone, you appease no one. Right. And so understanding that these two things feed very well into each other, if you can commit to it and go long enough to see the benefit. And I know that any business that we've been able to fortunately partner with to do that, it has been greatly beneficial to them.
You do that, but you also help your clients focus, is what you're saying.
100%. Because like clients all the time, like most common conversation I have is they have these 10 services and they're like, okay, we want to grow X in all 10 of these services. I'm like, that's not going to happen. If you have a multiple 6-figure budget, we can focus on that at a capacity that's going to help you hit that. But like most of our businesses that come to us are probably doing anywhere from 500,000 to 3 million, I would say, in annual revenue, which most people don't even have a marketing budget when they're only doing that little bit. So they don't even understand what it costs to do a lot of those things. And so that's the first focus is, hey, let's focus one thing where you can actually have a very, acute budget for the next 3 to 6 months. So you can see the potential return from it and know that you have a gas pedal. That's the biggest thing that I try to teach business owners is you're not throwing spaghetti against the wall here. When I push this hard, I get this much and I go this fast. You're like, oh, okay, I get that. I feel that speed. Okay, let's slow down a little bit. Okay, I like this. Okay, things are getting like forecasting. Oh, things are getting like, I see it. We need to speed up. And then it helps them control that narrative versus feeling like the market is controlling that narrative.
Yeah. The best advice I ever received that I didn't implement at the time was to pick a market and focus on it. In my first startup, we built event management software. So it allowed public event planners to create a website for their event, manage invitations, manage registrations. And at the time I was doing events for nightclubs, business networking events. I did conference stuff for B2B businesses. Yeah. And I went to my alma mater's venture forum where you could like a pitch contest where I started a pitch. And there was a woman there, much older than me at the time. And she said, she looked at me and she's like, great idea, but you're executing awfully. You're all over the place. You need to pick one market, one type of event and focus it on that. And I literally argued with her on stage. I was maybe 24 at the time and really immature, obviously. And I literally argued with her. I'm like, wow, that would defeat the purpose. Like we're trying to build this big thing at the time. Like I was looking up to Facebook and MySpace and thinking, oh, we'll build this global thing overnight. And so that's my biggest regret. I later shut I ran that business 6 years. We made a living, but never took it anywhere. I ended up shutting that business down and if I look back, if I had taken that one piece of advice, I know that I'd be retired on a beach somewhere because that business would have done really well because it was before its time and we just needed momentum. So yeah. And now in our business, I work with agencies who have that niche because I know that they are more successful and they will be better partners for me.
Exactly to your point. If you're a marketer and you're listening to this and you have one or two very specific groupings of clients, think about how much more valuable the information that you pool with something like Databox will be to every client you currently serve and every future client that you potentially bring on. It's this vacuum in a good way that will help you then do better work and potentially be more efficient at the work you do. So it makes you more profitable and you serve clients better. There's no loss to that focus.
I imagine when you're talking to a prospective client and they tell you, here's our 10 services, you don't have to ask them about those services. You already know about them. You know what those services are. You probably also know which ones are the easiest to market and maybe the lowest cost per click, maybe the easiest to rank for, maybe the most likely to engage a website visitor and get a lead. Like you have all that knowledge in your head that another marketing agency who doesn't focus in on that market won't have.
Exactly. Yep. Marketers are really good at filling in blanks or perceiving to have abundance when maybe it's not as much there. That's something I've learned as I've been a marketer and spoken and engaged with a lot of other marketers.
Yes.
But when you actually can fill in those blanks, when you don't need to be educated based on the expertise and you're actually more of an expert in all of those things and you can speak to it and show to it, it becomes a non-starter for most clients. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. And that changes your sales process, which any business owner would love to do, is be able to have a sales process that closes much higher at easier, shorter terms, that sort of thing. Peter, this has been amazing. We cannot wait to share this with our audience, and hopefully you share this with your audience, and hopefully we can have some impact on some businesses. Our ultimate goal is to help people grow, scale, and thrive. Grateful for your knowledge today.
Yeah, happy to help with that mission. I like that mission. Do it.
Peter, thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Beacon Way. We hope you enjoyed it and had some good takeaways. Please subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. And if you've enjoyed the show, please give us some stars on your podcast channel of choice. For more information, tips, and notes from the show, check us out at beaconmm.com. For more information on how Beacon can help market your business, email us at welcome@beaconmm.com.